Judith Krantz's bestseller, Till We Meet Again, is now a major television series. Spanning 2 world wars, Till We Meet Again follows the lives and loves of 3 generations of the de Lancel Champagne dynasty. There's Eve, who marries the aristocratic Paul de Lancel, and her 2 remarkable daughters, Freddie, a pilot, and the wayward Delphine. Judith Krantz's Till We Meet Again, beginning Wednesday at 9 on ITV.
Here, Santa, heard about Lund Polly's one-day sale tomorrow? We can get £70 off our holiday.
£70? Get away.
Lipstick, she's an alibi.
I don't care what planet she's from, you're 4 seconds late. Nice wheels. Shame not to lose them.
Lose them?
He's only gone and bought it.
The Renault 19 Chamard, a new saloon from £7,495.
He thinks you're wonderful. He thinks you're so special. He thinks you're lovely. You are lovely, aren't you? Aren't you?
Interflora, guaranteed to get to her.
Wouldn't you like to make something special for your home? Add an individual touch to your children's clothes, or create a gift to treasure and remember. It's easy with Embroidery Magic, a new fortnightly pack with everything you'll need. There are 6 inspiring ideas with clear step-by-step instructions and reusable transfer patterns, plus a file of all the stitches and skills you'll ever need. With Pack 1, there's a free basics booklet, so whether you're a beginner or a dab hand, you'll make your own Embroidery Magic.
Fairway Furniture's exciting new superstore opens at Stadium Park St Austell at 10:30 this Wednesday. Take advantage of our special opening sale offers on top-name furniture, carpets and beds, plus an opportunity to win fabulous prizes in our free grand draw. The new Fairway Superstore at Stadium Park St Austell, opening 10:30 this Wednesday.
What is it? Damp spark, leaky rag, moisture in electric, flat battery, coil, is it fuel pump, dodgy solenoid?
Dunno, but I know a man who does. AA Home Start. On those cold winter mornings, we're all you need to know.
Problem, sir? No.
Strongbow. Nothing else quite hits the mark.
If you receive some Reader's Digest prize draw numbers, return them immediately, because someone, somewhere, is going to win £150,000.
Starting the 90s with a mobile phone, it's child's play getting off to the right start at Westcom's sale. Starts Wednesday the 3rd of January. Westcom, the mobile phone people. Our next Boxing Day film at 11 o'clock is The Outlaw Josie Wales with Clint Eastwood. But now, the ITN News.
The news from ITN.
Tried and executed, Romanians see their dead dictator. Demonstrators warn political changes must be quicker. The price of freedom for the people of Bucharest. And sport, Desert Orchid equals the record. Good evening. The people of Romania have been shown pictures on television of their dead dictator, former President Nicolae Ceaușescu. He was shot by firing squad with his wife Elena after being tried for genocide. And a new government's been formed. The president is Ion Iliescu, a former Communist Party official, and the Prime Minister is Petre Roman. The new leaders announced sweeping changes. Travel restrictions are being lifted. The village destruction plan is being ended, and abortion will be made legal. Thousands of dead are being buried, and the Soviet Union has set up a 6,000-bed hospital on the border to treat the injured from the civil war. Paul Davies has been inside the state television station in Bucharest throughout the day.
The new government has made this television station its provisional headquarters. Its leaders have been meeting here throughout the day. They've been broadcasting to the people, explaining their thoughts on the country's future. After some disagreement, they decided to show on television the body of the dead president.
Just 1 week ago, he was an all-powerful tyrant. Here, like a common criminal, Nicolae Ceaușescu is unceremoniously bundled from an armored car, making his last journey before his execution. Romanian television showed these pictures early this morning, a short time after they announced that the deposed president had been shot dead by a firing squad. The 71-year-old former leader is seen undergoing a statutory medical test. This remarkable scene is said to have been filmed yesterday just before the president's trial. These pictures, the first hard proof that President Ceaușescu was in fact a prisoner of the new regime. His 70-year-old wife, Elena Ceaușescu, is also seen. She faced similar charges to her husband and is said to have met the same fate. The couple appeared remarkably relaxed, considering the fact they'd been jointly charged with genocide, the murder of 60,000 Romanians.
The pictures of the president were broadcast from here, inside the television station that is also the headquarters of the country's new leadership. But the transmission immediately sparked an angry dispute within this building.
The newscaster told viewers that the TV technicians wanted to show proof that the president had been executed, but were being stopped by senior bureaucrats within the TV centre. Television Free Romania then played the country's new national anthem. On 15 separate occasions, viewers were told to stay tuned to see how the power struggle turned out. Behind the scenes, there were heated exchanges, the television staff protesting at the censorship from above. It's just like the bad old days, one said. In a small-scale reproduction of last week's revolution, the soldiers protecting the TV centre became involved, backing those demanding that evidence of the president's death be shown to the world. And this afternoon, the TV station showed the crumpled forms of two bodies at the foot of a bullet-ridden wall, one clearly that of Romania's former dictator.
The decision to broadcast those pictures was in fact taken in a television studio just a few yards across the corridor from where I'm sitting now. This afternoon, the leaders of the new government of National Salvation met there once again. With me now is Victor Ionescu, a newscaster who, through his work here, has become a spokesman for the new regime. Victor, what sort of government can we expect to see here in Romania when the fighting's finished?
Well, better I like to see in Romanian coalition government with ministers communist, with ministers without party.
Now, they say that the new figurehead of the regime, Ion Iliescu, is a similar sort of man to Gorbachev. Is that true?
It's true. He was colleague with Gorbachev in Moscow in institute. He has studied economy. Is a specialist and intellectual. This is a great difference between Ceaușescu and Iliescu, and the generation is great difference in time, 20 years.
Victoria, thank you. The guns have been silent in Bucharest today, and people have started clearing up their shattered city. Hundreds of young revolutionaries defied their leaders and marched on Palace Square to celebrate Ceaușescu's execution. They want nothing less than full democracy. Not all are convinced their present leaders will supply it.
This was the only visible expression of relief in Bucharest today that Ceaușescu was dead. A few hundred demonstrators rallying for support that never came. What's missing are mass protests. Romanians have been ordered to stay at home. They're still too scared to come out, and the revolutionary forces are obviously nervous. This rally was banned, but they broke through to Palace Square and made their point. Tell us the truth. Give us freedom now, they demanded. Inside the liberated Communist Party building, where there is still a risk of infiltration and assassination, the apparatus of Ceaușescu's rule was being pulled apart. News-hungry crowds are desperate to grab copies of the free press. The flow of information is still slow. The first newspaper to report Ceaușescu's execution was Libertatea, where staff were free to express themselves openly. Hardly a shot was fired during the day, and the process of renewal is beginning. But it's too early to judge how popular it will be. Not until all the truth, past and present, is revealed, will Romanians truly believe the battle for democracy is won. Brent Sadler, ITN, Bucharest.
Tens of thousands of Romanians have been killed in this civil war. For so many families, this Christmas has been a time of mourning and paying respects to fallen heroes.
They dug up a children's playing field on the outskirts of Bucharest to bury the victims of these past days of turmoil. 300 fresh graves in an area not much bigger than a football pitch. The bodies brought in one after the other by grieving families. Ceaușescu's death small compensation for the loss of their loved ones. This little girl now without her father. We saw 12 people buried. All, we were told, had been shot. This is the price Romanians have had to pay for their revolution, a price today that many are finding very difficult to bear. The grave of Robert Baclu, shot in a demonstration.
He was killed on the first shot. He was in the first front. That's a hero. That's a hero.
It will probably never be known exactly how many people died in the revolution, how many people gave their lives for freedom. Vernon Mann, ITN, Bucharest.
In Timișoara, where the revolution began, the fighting has also died down. But the celebrations of the dictator's death have been subdued. Secret agents are being unmasked and handed over to the army. And in the city's largest factory, the newly won democracy is already in operation.
The bells of Timișoara ring out not to mourn the death of a president, but to celebrate a new beginning. Many people died in the square. Buildings are pockmarked with bullet holes. Below, the tracks of the armoured cars responsible for the killings have become a candlelit memorial to the dead. The chief of the secret police, Colonel Sima, has now been arrested at home. We were told it was crammed with luxury goods, food and drink.
Colonel Sima is now in prison awaiting trial. It's highly unlikely he'll be allowed to keep his luxuries. It's unlikely he'll be allowed to keep his life.
A woman accused of being one of his agents was held this morning by factory workers. Handed over to a People's Committee, she waited nervously as they debated what to do with her. They gave her to the army. Outside, the factory workers who brought her in cheer and celebrate the removal of a spy from their midst. There's also an air of anticipation. They're about to take part in their first ever free elections. In this, the biggest factory in Timișoara, departmental heads with instructions from the workers meet to elect a new factory committee. They're not used to debate. Freedom of choice is alien, but democracy hard won is soon established. And on the shop floor, the elections are a point of fierce debate. Democracy is catching on in Timișoara. Yesterday's man is dead. The slogans and posters of a 24-year reign can now be destroyed. Colin Baker, ITN, Timișoara.
The British ambassador to Romania has declared support for the new Salvation Front government. Meanwhile, tonight, 19 of the non-essential British embassy staff have arrived back in Britain. They told of their involvement in events in Bucharest.
Probably the most remembered part of all of it, really, for me, is when we actually joined in with the students to take the television station, and we were cheering with them and shouting down with Ceaușescu, and we were Romanians. We were Romanians.
Now, other news. 2 men referred to as Mr. A and Mr. B have been remanded in custody in London, charged with plotting explosions and having firearms. They were arrested last week after an arms cache was found in West Wales. Security was tight when the men were driven to Bow Street Magistrates Court. Armed police were on patrol outside, and the whole area has been sealed off. Police marksmen were in position on rooftops. In Panama, American troops are still surrounding the Vatican embassy, where the ousted dictator Manuel Noriega has taken refuge. Negotiations are continuing for his extradition to the United States on drugs trafficking charges. Noriega is still seeking political asylum in a third country, possibly Cuba or Peru. Israeli jets have destroyed the headquarters of the Lebanese Communist Party south of Beirut. Only hours earlier, Israeli forces, backed by tanks and helicopter gunships, decimated another guerrilla base in southeast Lebanon. At least 9 people were killed and 26 injured in the 2 attacks. It's their largest long-range raid for more than a year. Now, with that win at Kempton Park for Desert Orchid and highlights of today's soccer, here's our sports correspondent, Giles Smith.
Ian Rush got the winner in Liverpool's 2-1 win over Sheffield Wednesday at Anfield. That puts them top of the table again as overnight leaders Arsenal lost at Southampton. Liverpool have only scored 4 goals in their last 5 home games, but it took them only 2 minutes to get on the score sheet today, courtesy of Molby's powerful header. Wednesday equalised in the second half through Atkinson, and the lowly placed Yorkshiremen threatened their second win over the Reds this season. But 5 minutes from the end, Staunton's free kick found Rush's chest to prove once again that even if Liverpool aren't playing particularly well, they can still win. Rodney Wallace got the goal that put Arsenal back into second place. David Platt got the second for Villa in a win that keeps up their challenge in third place. And Gary Lineker got one and had a hand in another as fifth-place Spurs went marching on. In Scotland, Steve Archibald scored the first for Hibs in a win that stopped Aberdeen going top of the Premier Division. Probably the most significant English match of the day was the second division top-of-the-table clash between Sheffield United and Leeds. Mel Sterland put Leeds ahead with a 35-yard free kick. Sheffield equalised 3 minutes later through Rostrom. And they were in the lead just before half-time when Agana scrambled it over the line. But Leeds forced the draw through Shutt. Although Leeds stayed top and Sheffield second, both looked good for promotion. Desert Orchid, the country's best-loved racehorse, was back to winning form in the King George VI Chase at Kempton. It was a record-equalling third time he'd won it. A huge crowd of 25,000 saw the great champion make a rare mistake on the first circuit. Perhaps he was past his best. But at the second last, he came up with one of his classic leaps to go clear of stablemate Barnbrook again. And coming to the last, there was only one horse in it. His prize 6-4 on favourite. His winnings are now over £400,000. The Cheltenham Gold Cup beckons again.
In the last few minutes, we've received dramatic new pictures of Ceaușescu's interrogation. He harangued his army interrogators, saying he was only answerable to Parliament and the working class. He blamed the revolution on a gang of traitors. And that's the news tonight. From Paul Davies and the ITN team in Romania, and from all of us in London, good night.
Well, the weather remains in rather placid mood for the rest of tonight and tomorrow. You've got light winds in the north and light south to southeasterly winds there over southern England. They are trying to push a weak warm front up across the country, but it is, as I said, very weak, so just bringing a little rain and drizzle from time to time. Now in the north, with the light winds and clearing skies, likely to find some freezing fog patches coming along, but further south, rather more in the way of cloud, and the odd outbreak of mostly light rain and drizzle. Now, with the clear skies in the north, frost a problem, I think icy roads too by the morning. Further south, a little bit milder, but even so, the cloud may thin enough just to allow a touch of ground frost. Now, tomorrow sees much of England and Wales rather on the cloudy side, and a lot of the cloud, particularly in the north, thin and high, allowing some sunshine from time to time. Though in the south, the cloud thick enough to give you 1 or 2 light showers. As we go through the day, the thicker cloud tending to edge a little bit northward, bringing 1 or 2 outbreaks of mostly light rain, but the rain well scattered. Many places likely to miss out. The further north you go, though, the brighter it becomes in general. Northern Ireland, much of southern and eastern Scotland, a mostly dry day, quite sunny too. But when you get right up into the far north, you'll see some showers coming along from time to time. Temperatures tomorrow, not too different from what we saw today, mostly between 7 and 9 degrees Celsius. That's 45 to 48 Fahrenheit. That's it. Good night.
And now here's a look at the weather prospects for the southwest. It'll be mostly cloudy tonight with 1 or 2 showers in the low-lying areas. Some patchy mist or fog is likely also. The lowest temperatures overnight, 2 Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow there'll be a good deal of cloud and further showers perhaps prolonged in places later.